What's up, Barbarians? Season 10 is just around the corner, and this is my starter build. First thing you want to do, go to your map, claim all rewards. Next, go to your inventory, go to your wardrobe, snag your pet. Then, if you have the expansion, go up to Mercenaries and visit the den. I like to start with Variana for Mercenaries first, as she gives you the movement speed buff. Then level up every other one, pick any other reinforcement just to level them all up to level 8. Now that we have our pet and our mercenary, we are ready to get started to use our skill points. We're going to put 3 points into Lunging Strike, into Battle Lunging Strike, 3 points to Hammer of the Ancients, for Furious Hammer of the Ancients. When we get our seasonal power, Dual Threat, after we get that, we are going to put 3 points into Frenzy. And we are going to swap back and forth as this is a walking arsenal build. The remainder 3 points, put in between Hammer of the Ancients and Lunging Strike. Now we are ready to do specific dungeons to get specific aspects to help us on our leveling journey. You're going to go to the Collections tab, into your Codex of Power, and you're going to filter things through My Class and Unlockable from a Dungeon. We are going to want to get a couple of these, but there's 2 that stand out the most. We want to get the aspect of Ancestral Force and the aspect of Might. These are the 2 that I want to start with. When we're starting Season 10, our Codex is going to look locked like this. And what you want to do is you want to pin this on your map, and then go look at your map and see where the arrow takes us, where the line takes us, and we want to go specifically to this dungeon and get that aspect first. Then we are going to level up by doing Whispers, which are highlighted on the map like so. And we want to do the Whispers also in Helltide, as Helltide will have our seasonal activity. We are going to do a couple dungeons, but you want to do Nightmare dungeons after you get the aspects needed for your build. If you have the expansion, you are going to want to run the Undercity, as that is a great place to get experience as well. Now that we have our character all set up, it's time to do some Whispers and get some XP. And when you're starting, what you're going to want to do is go in between Lunging Strike and Hammer of the Ancients. Right now we don't have the seasonal power, which makes our Lunging Strike also deal damage with our Frenzy. So we only need to go in between these 2 skills at the moment. This build fully comes online once we have our key passive at level 23. And once we have our key passive, that is when you're going to put Fury into the mix. Until then, go just in between the 2 skills. So as we do Whispers, this is going to help us level up really fast. As we get more gear, we look for green is good. Green, 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 and green. More green. There we go. We're not really concerned with what the stats are on the gear because we are too low of level. Once we get to level 25 or so, that's when we really want to see what stats are on our gear and be slightly more selective. But just starting out, green is good. And at level 5, we have a couple more points to put in. Once you have Swiftness unlocked, you want to take as many points as you can into Swiftness so you can move faster throughout the map. Then you want to put more points into Hammer of the Ancients, Lunging Strike, and once we get our seasonal power of Dual Threat, you want to put points into Frenzy as well. But we can leave this at 3 just for the moment as we're not going to be using it. We just finished doing 10 Whispers, which was only around here. We did this dungeon, and we did a couple other Whispers here. And we already have almost a full inventory of gear, and we're about to get some more money and some more XP. Pick whichever one you'd like when you do your Whispers. If you are lacking in something, like chest plates or boots or 2-handed weapons in this case, pick the one you're lacking. When you're ready to salvage your gear, make sure you salvage everything. You're going to get money mainly through Whispers, and you want to get all your materials for tempering, for masterworking, and for enchanting from your gear. So once you check that all this stuff is worse than what you have on, go to the blacksmith and salvage all. Now that we're level 10, there's a couple things we need to do. 1, spend the rest of our skill points, and you want to max out your Hammer of the Ancients, and your Lunging Strike. At the moment, we don't have a way to be unstoppable, and I like using Rallying Cry just starting out so I have a way to gain unstoppable. And if you find at this early in the game that your Fury generation is low, take the 3rd point to Rallying Cry for Tactical Rallying Cry. Later on, we're going to switch this out to Challenging Shout. And then once we're level 10, you're going to go to Cure Vashad, and we're going to upgrade our potion. We're going to upgrade our potion because we get XP for it. Then we're going to go to the guards, which is over by the statue, which we're going to change into hard later on, roughly around level 20. Talk to this person right here. Once you talk to her, go to the guards, go to your wheel, click cheer.
Brutal. I like it.
And some more free XP for not doing very much. Then from then on, we go back to doing whispers in Helltide, Nightmare Dungeons. We just turned in some whispers, and we have a couple upgrades. We're just looking for green is good. If we weren't level 15, I would keep the rare pants on, but it doesn't really matter. It's up to you. Keep the rare ones on if you'd like. If not, swap out to these. We're just doing green is good because we won't be level 15 for long. Doesn't really matter. And now that we're level 15, we have access to our technique slot. You could skip this, but I'm going to show you why you shouldn't skip this. Now we have 3 more points. We have maxed out Lunging Strike, maxed out Hammer of the Ancients, and now we can put 3 points into Iron Maelstrom. Because Iron Maelstrom works on weapon swapping, we now need to make sure that Lunging Strike is on a different weapon from Hammer of the Ancients. We specifically want on our slashing weapon. Frenzy will always be on dual wield, and now we're going to start using Frenzy as we have Iron Maelstrom, and hopefully now we have our dual threat seasonal perk, which you're going to play so that now when we hit Lunging Strike, it also does 80% damage to Frenzy. Definitely do your weapon expertise. Go over here, talk to her, do the little side quest, and when we come back, we're going to show you the rewards. Now that we have Iron Maelstrom, we want to start using our different skills in order to bring down the cooldown of Iron Maelstrom faster. This is the start of our Walking Arsenal build, which starts at level 15. The more weapon swapping we do, the more Iron Maelstrom gets cooled down faster. And then once it's cooled down, we can use it right away. Now see, it's at 40, but it will keep going down faster as we swap in between Frenzy, Lunging Strike, and Hammer of the Ancients. They're all on different weapons, so it will take 1 second down off every time. Use Rallying Cry for some movement speed, or if you need to be unstoppable. That will soon not be needed at level 23. Now that we've completed that task, let's check out the rewards. Okay, let's open this up and get something good. We received 2 legendary items. This is probably where you're going to get your first legendary items. This is why it's so important to do the weapon expertise quest every single season. That is a massive upgrade to what we have. And now we have 2 aspects we may or may not use. At this point, it is time to start using some enchanting and to get our build more online. If you haven't done so already, go do the Ancestral Forces dungeon to get Hammer of the Ancients. Mine says 5 to 25. In Season 10, it's going to say 30 to 60. And then also put on the Aspect of Might. Now we're going to go to the Jeweler. And if you have the expansion, you're going to want to put 2 sockets on your hammer and put in some runes. So these are the runes that I have received so far since level 15. And if you don't have any of these, definitely do an Undercity to get some magic runes easily. And we're going to use Moni Tech. Every time we cast Lunging Strike twice, it will create an Earthquake. We don't really need to use Earthquakes, but this is another way to deal more damage. And when we get the Bolcathos aspect, it'll give us more damage reduction. Now we're going to continue with the seasonal quest line and continue with doing Whispers, Nightmare Dungeons, and we'll show the build online at around level 30 to see what it really can do once we have all our dungeons complete. Now we're level 34. And everything we have here, we can get from a dungeon. Every single one, except for that one. Aspects you want to use are the aspect of tempering blows, aspect of might, earth strikers, Bokathos, Ghostwalker, ancestral forces, rapid aspect, edge master, the expectant, and intercom. I also did put on Relentless Armmaster, and that is because we are using the Walking Arsenal. This cannot be found on a dungeon. Now let's rebuild the character. So you're going to want max points into Lunging Strike, into Battle Lunging Strike. Once you get your dual threat seasonal power, you want max points into Frenzy, to Enhance Frenzy, to Combat Frenzy, max points into Hammer of the Ancients, and you can take Furious or Violent. It's up to you. If you notice you are having a lot of overpowers, take Violent. If not, take Furious for more critical strikes. Once you get your Walking Arsenal bonus at level 23, you can take your points out of Rallying Cry and put them into Challenging Shout. We only need 1 point in this. Then we're going to take at least 2 points into Warcry, or 3 points into Swiftness, and we are going to take max points into Iron Maelstrom for Supreme Iron Maelstrom, and your Walking Arsenal key passive. Now you should be roughly at level 23-24, and this is what your skill tree should look like. At this point, you are completely online to play this build, and it is a lot of fun. We need to make sure, because we're using Walking Arsenal, that we have Frenzy, which will always be on dual wield, but Lunging Strike on our two-handed slashing. If you go to auto select, it'll pick the one that does the most damage. We don't want that. We specifically need this to be on two-handed slashing. Our Hammer of the Ancients will always be on two-handed bludgeoning. Frenzy will always be on dual wield. So we need to make sure this is on two-handed slashing to proc our Walking Arsenal bonuses. For leveling, Iron Maelstrom is amazing. Unfortunately, it did get gutted. After you are done leveling, Iron Maelstrom is no longer that useful. With the remainder of your points, you're going to put them into Belligerence, Imposing Presence, Pit Fighter, and Heavy Hitter. If you find that you're needing more life, put your points first into Imposing Presence, but if you're still playing on normal or hard difficulty, that won't be necessary, and I would suggest maxing out Belligerence, then maxing out Pit Fighter, then Heavy Hitter. Once you hit level 23, you're going to want to look at the stats on your gear, and you're going to want to stack Strength, Max Life, and Straight Damage. At the moment, we are only using the one seasonal power that makes our basic skill use 2 basic skills at once. You can use the one that makes you critical strike and overpower, which gives your basic skills a cooldown if you'd like. I find where right now our basic skills are still single target, that doesn't really work very well. Once you get the Hooves of the Mountain God, that's when you want to swap over to that magic seasonal power. Until then, this works better. It flows better. And that's why you want the damage tempers or damage to close tempers. All these tempers on your gear will boost up your damage, and you'll find you won't need to swap weapons out very often. But those are the stats you want to go for. Strength, max life, damage. I know I do have an armor roll on here. As you notice, I could re-roll life per second into max life, but I'm not dying. And because I'm not dying, there's no reason to re-roll this. It would be a waste of materials. And for tempers, you only want tempers on your weapons, your rings, and your amulet. If you need more defensive tempers, then you could put life or armor or a resistance on them. As you get closer to Torment 1, you will need more resistances, and you will have to use some tempers for that. Also, because we're using earthquakes, I put earthquake size on. We're using Hammer of the Ancients, you can put Hammer of the Ancients size on, and a frenzy duration because we use frenzy quite frequently. On your boots, always put the movement speed temper on, even if you have movement speed on your boots. For our weapons, we could put a temper of double damage to our basic skills, double damage to our Hammer of the Ancients, or to our Iron Maelstrom. And if you'd like to do that, that's up to you, but this build doesn't need that. We just need the straight damage tempers or close damage tempers, and we have enough damage to kill anything. The runes aren't necessary, they're just an added bonus. Let's show how powerful we are by killing the Blood Maiden on hard. So first we're going to show off the damage rotation. We're just going to do Iron Maelstrom here to kill things. We want to keep up our Walking Arsenal bonuses at all times. Even when you're not hitting an enemy, you can still hit your basic skills to gain the bonuses. So use Walking Arsenal as needed. Spam your basic skills, and in between them, you want to do a Hammer of the Ancients. That is the rotation. We're going to show you how good it is with the Blood. Hit Warcry as needed, as that is our only way to gain Berserk. Okay, we have full stacks, and we just hit her for half her health with one Hammer of the Ancients. If you have a lot of enemies around, you can also use your Iron Maelstrom. And now we're just going to hit her hopefully one more time, and she should be dead. There we go. We just two-shot the Blood Maiden on hard. This build is super powerful and will allow you to do anything you want in the game. Undercities, nightmare dungeons, solo the Blood Maiden. You're tanky, you're strong, you have movement speed all day, you have great attack speed, and you are unstoppable 24/7 as long as you keep up their 3 Walking Arsenal bonuses. Even though they're not up, hit your buttons. Boom. Walking Arsenal bonus is up. There's no one around us and we still have them up. They're fading. There we go. They're back up. And as you swap weapons, your Iron Maelstrom will come down even faster. You see this? We're just swapping weapons back and forth, back and forth. Iron Maelstrom is back on cooldown. That's why this build is so good. That's why we don't use the overpowered critical strike of the basic skills just yet, because for leveling, this will be faster, it's more fluent, and more fun to play. And if you don't have a party to play, you can still be super strong. We haven't used anything except for this one right here for Fury Generation that you can't unlock by yourself from a dungeon. One great addition to this build is if when you find it, use the Battle Mad. We are swapping weapons all the time. That'll be another great way to have berserking, including Warcry, and is a great damage boost. Alright guys, this is my starter build for Season 10. Give this build a try. It has very low requirements. You can find everything from level 1 and is very powerful. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on Tuesday.